Hello guys, happy 4th of July. My name is Maria and I wanted to invite you all to my new channel, which is tentatively being called Agita News. Agita, what is Agita? Heartburn. It's a nice little Mediterranean term for heartburn. Something that repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats and burns and agitates you because it doesn't feel good. Okay? We've all had heartburn. We've all had news up to here. It's okay. So I've been emoting on Facebook about everything in the news. Why? Because I'm a newsy person. 2, because I care. 3, because my news feed on Facebook is filled with newsy people. Like attracts like. So my tribe on Facebook is a bunch of advocates, social workers, folks that grew up in the 60s, people that weren't afraid to get out there and protest, Occupy Wall Street, Occupy whatever. My feed is full of activists and social workers and community motivators. And yeah, so we as a collective care. There's a bunch of us out there that care. And to nauseam, we're going to be reacting to the news. The news is meant to spin. The wheel, it's meant to spin. It's also meant to over-sensationalize everything. I get that. I have CNN on in the background. I don't believe CNN is fake news. I don't care what anybody says. I flip it. I keep it going between cable news, Fox, NBC, Mother Jones, NPR, Democracy Now!, alternative news, and a good friend of mine who passed away in March 12th ran a really cool little website called WorldWideHippies Citizen Journalist Exchange, CJE. And I helped him launch it. And he used to talk about it back in 1998. He worked in the news. See, he was a newsman. For 35 plus years, he worked in the news. And news would come across his desk, and he was so agitated about the news all the time. Every time we would talk, he would say, Maria, the news gives me heartburn, gives me agita. And really, I didn't watch the news. At that time in my life, probably the thing I had on TV the most was TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network, a Christian channel, which drove him nuts. So whenever we got together, he would like switch channel right away. But anything you watch too much of, it's gonna affect your thinking. So what he would say is, being a newsman, he was a digital imaging master of digital imaging. Plus, he was a photographer. He went out and got the news too, and he worked for National Geographic for a long time. He was really newsy, and his job was to lay out the news in the paper to get people to actually read it and then buy it, read it. Make those headlines jump out at people and say, "Ooh, I need a newspaper today." And oh, I need to keep reading. I'm not just going to go to the obituaries. I'm not just going to check, see who died, so I don't miss a funeral. I'm not just going to go to the cartoons and keep eating my toast and drinking my coffee. I'm not just going to check out the sales and the ads and the this and the that. I'm actually going to read the news. Complete. I'm going to turn to the back page and keep reading that story. And what would happen is, over the Associated Press, he would get news, and it would keep coming at him. And they'd be like, okay, his name was Joe. He'd be like, okay, Joe, this is front page now. He'd put his big glasses on, he'd look at all the pictures and see how to lay it out, and he'd get it just said, he'd be, okay, that was breaking news. What are we doing with this? Okay, well, let's put this over here. Page 4B. And let me see where I can cut off the word in the story where I could get people to turn the page at a good point. So he really had a lot of talents just in doing that layout and that printing. And being a master of digital imaging, that paper didn't go out unless he approved every single thing in the paper. And it was a huge paper. 35 plus years. And he used to come to me and say, you know, Maria, if I had a computer, if I had a few people to help me, I could do the news myself. I could do it myself. I know how to catch what's coming along the press. I know how to keep after it. I know how to get the good pictures. I know how to, but I need the following. I need the. So he started WorldWideHippies, and I helped him, and we got a bunch of people on board, and a bunch of people helped and contributed with original content for a long time, and that morphed into a YouTube channel. Excuse me, where people made videos, they got on their soapbox, they did different things, they read poetry, artisans, musicians, people, whatever your interest was. If it was healing and wellness, if it was holistic medicine, if you wanted to really just keep on Big Pharma, say your thing that you were watchdogging was the music industry. You wanted to keep talking about what a freaking scam it was, the way contracts ran in recording industry, right? That was your baby. You had a place to do it. If your thing was women's issues, you had a place to put it. If your thing was how to do DIYs, life hacks, it was all on that website. So we gave everybody an opportunity to come join together and just contribute and to reflect on things together and connect together and then affect the world. And I was very much a part of the whole thing. A lot of times I was in the background. Oh, the background. When he passed away in March, I kind of he passed away suddenly. He was a truther. He didn't cover just fluff news that was on cable news or whatever. He really dug stories, and people would come after him and like shut down his website and hack his website over and over again. Every time he did a YouTube channel, it would get hacked. Every time his website went up, something would come down. And we had a long conversation about this, and I said, don't jump into the rabbit hole of conspiracies. Yeah, don't go there. He was like, because there's no coming back from that. It's just like a seeping hole of one conspiracy after another. But, you know, he trolleyed down the hole for a little while. And it's kind of hard to save him from that before he passed away, because he really had stumbled upon some good news and truth. And he passed away in March. And it was very sudden. And I remember he felt really bad. He felt like he had taken me away from my life purpose, what I was supposed to be doing in my life. He said, you have like volumes of stuff you need to say. And he gave me a little platform called, he named me Maria Spring for a column. So for a long time, I wrote a column under the name of Maria Spring. And it had my last name on there too, but it was Maria Spring. And then eventually it was changed to Flower Species. And I started a channel out here on YouTube called Flower Species. And it was supposed to go with WorldWideHippies. But then he passed away. So, this is my continuation. I've thrown together every conversation that Joe and I ever had over 20 years. I met him in 1998, and we stayed close. I never didn't talk to him more than 3 months, every 3 months. But every 3, maybe, give or take. I think we went 4 months one time without saying hi. But we touched base every 3 months and shared what was going on with our life and what our dreams and goals were. And our last conversation, it was like we went full circle. And I didn't know he was dying. He did not share that with me, and I don't think he knew. Because from what I'm hearing from everybody, he found out that he was dying about 3 months before he was dying of lung cancer, and then he just died. I don't know. That's all I know. And I've been just sitting with it since March going, it just doesn't sound like him. He wouldn't just go, okay, I'm going to go off into the sunset with my next love of my life and just say la vie. Que sera, sera. That's not, Joe doesn't do that. And I don't feel like he's dead. It's been really hard to accept because I just don't feel like he's dead. But that's a whole nother video. But what I remember is we had this conversation about the news giving him agita and how there were so many news stories that were just shelved. There was no closure to it. You couldn't digest it. You couldn't break it down. There wasn't time to break it down. You had to go on to the next breaking news. So you constantly had breaking news. So you were constantly feeding the people more news. They didn't have time to break down and digest what you just gave them. So it just kept repeating in them. And there was no real closure to that news story. No real answers as to why did that happen? How did the investigation go? Who was guilty? Who was innocent? Who started that fire? How did it? I'm not talking about a house fire. I'm talking about who got the ball rolling. It could be immigration being a hot mess, and the border, the situation the way it is. It could be healthcare. It could be big pharma. It could be who's feeding who. It could be whose hands washing the other hand. Who's following these stories? Nobody's following these stories because you don't have time. You got to go on to the next story, and the news is moving so fast that it's giving us agita. So, I'm calling this agita news, but I'm gonna have different segments on here where I'll discuss whatever it is you guys want to talk about. Totally bipartisan, totally equal opportunity place here. I will address. I will have a Dear Mr. Man segment, which is going to go directly at Dear Donald Trump, Dear Mr. President, Dear POTUS 45, and then we're going to have Dear Mr. Man, and we're going to talk to the Congress. They are debating right now, so I want your opinions. If you got something you want to ask at a town hall, a debate, you can't be there, send it to me. I will spill it here. I want to pretend you're watching those 20 people debating. Or you have a one-on-one with Donald Trump. What do you want to ask him? What do you want to know? That's what I'm going to be doing here. Okay, I know it doesn't look very professional right now. I don't care. I'm not worried about I'm not worried about brand or the way it looks or whatever. I'm just going to give my opinion about the news. Anything in the news. Anything. This is the best area. I got light right now. It might be in the living room the next day. It might be in the kitchen the next day. I don't know. So anyway, so I welcome you to join me here where I'm going to talk about people that have died like Prince, Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington, Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds, John Lennon, John Kennedy Jr. and his wife and his sister-in-law and their dog and their unborn baby. We're going to talk about celebrity deaths, Whitney Houston, Bobby Christina. We're going to talk about Mac Miller. We're going to talk about all these deaths that we're being told, Anthony Bourdain, that we're being told are suicides, and celebrity doctors are saying, well, it was probably autoerotic asphyxiation, really, that was an accident. Yeah, that's what Dr. Drew, celebrity rehab doctor, is telling people is, oh no, Kate Spade didn't mean to actually kill herself. Even though she wrote no, she didn't mean to. No, Chris Cornell didn't mean to be talking about. He wanted a movie on his channel, and he called down for help to get the TV to work. 1 minute, and then he thought, well, I'll go in the bathroom and just, get off a little bit. That's what he said. Because Robin Williams, Well, Robin Williams was just, he was so depressed. And what he said in an interview before he was, I think, shit canned from CNN is, well, insiders in psychopathology and rehab understand that when you're so depressed, the brain, the dopamine levels are so messed up for so long when you've been taking medication, when you've been taking drugs, especially when you're addicted, that it takes so long for the dopamine levels to get normal again. They're actually damaged and you can't get any pleasure. And he explained it like, think of when a man is drunk and they're like, they become impotent. You can't do anything. You can't feel any pleasure. So this is what happens to people that have been depressed or using drugs and alcohol too long, like Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington, Kate Spade, who he thought, well, she was bipolar. She did struggle with alcohol. She was on medication. Robin Williams, well, he was told he had Parkinson's, but he had something else going on, and we know he had addiction, so he was depressed. So they all just autoerotic asphyxiated by accident themselves. And Prince just happened to go down in the elevator just like his song said. No, he didn't. In fact, right now, there is a group in Washington rallying 4th of July for Prince. He died over his music rights. He died because he did not play the game. He died because he wrote slave on his face. He died because he encouraged every young artisan to never sign a contract with anybody. He died because he told people, if you don't own your music, the master owns you. Period. He was getting people free, and he was being truthful about it, and he was writing his book. Okay, so there's a gal out there, this is a whole nother video, who, I don't have permission to use her name, so I'll wait, but she started a group called Justice for, the number 4, and it's a huge group, Prince. There's also Justice for Cuz, and I'm not sure that they really want to be mentioned in the same line together, but they actually, even though they kind of like, it looks like they're going in opposite directions, they're actually working together in synchrony. They actually are, without even realizing it. Because the opiate crisis does need to be addressed, and because Prince did have kill pills, like basically those fake pills. But was he taking pills and addicted and dependent, and then he just took enough pills to kill an elephant? No. No. So his cousin, Chaz Smith, started a group called Justice for Cuz, C-U-Z, which really looks at okay, let's reinvestigate who gave my cousin the drugs. And Chaz was in the very first band. In fact, he was the head of the first band that Prince was in when they were kids. And they were like, yay, high. They used to be out playing at picnics for their family, at church things, backyards. Yeah. Chaz was the one that said to Prince, I think it's time we redo this. They were close. They didn't remain close all through his life, but they were close, like family would be. So a lot of the Purple Fam people are like, Chaz was never around Prince. Prince never mentioned Chaz. Do you think Prince told you everything? Prince didn't just live at Paisley Park. He lived all over the place. But he didn't die in an elevator going down. No, he didn't go down in the elevator. And there's a lady out there who knew this 36 hours after he passed, because she has been listening to the voice of God and has been a spiritual intuitive for years since she was a child, and not just Prince. She didn't channel him. She wasn't a fan of his. She wasn't a groupie. She only knew Prince was, oh, Prince is that guy that, yeah, that Purple Rain guy, and yeah, he wrote a bunch of really good songs, and yeah, Prince. I mean, that's how uninterested she was in Prince until Prince showed up and said, hey, I'm in the car with you. Hello, I was murdered. And he's been talking to her ever since. And everything he told her 36 hours after he passed, she came out and did a live video on Facebook. Guess what? It took him a year and a half to do the investigation and say exactly what she said 36 hours after. And she went to the detective. She went to everyone. He couldn't be more public than Abigail was. And if you had to look at a case and say, well, how much of this is correct? 98.9% of what she's saying is correct, that the investigation found. So we're going to talk about spiritual stuff too. Spiritual stuff in the news. Why isn't, because I know that's something that Joe and I talked about. He didn't like witchy women and people that conjured and people that, did all that. But he understood alchemy. He understood the dimensions of spiritual. He understood vibrations. He understood energy. And he had such a larger view of God and the divine than I did. I was trying to put God in a box, in a church steeple, in a religion, in a dogma, and he kept trying to elevate me to let God breathe in my life. And I didn't want to go out on a limb. Okay, so he would say often, there are people that know shit. They just know shit. They know, like, they're spending a fortune on this investigation, and there's always somebody that knows. But more than that, there's people that actually pick up on stuff, and they're like, yeah, that's not what happened. So when I went to Joe and I said, there's this woman who, she's an open channel. She doesn't conjure. She doesn't smudge her house with a million different strains of bugaboo. She doesn't make a million altars. She doesn't throw sticks out everywhere in every direction to see, where's it going to fall? Is it going towards Prince's face or towards Jimi Hendrix today? Where's it going? She doesn't do that. She doesn't have a crystal ball. None of that. She just spends time listening to God. And whoever comes through, comes through. So she doesn't conjure. And 36 hours after Prince died, she came out and did a live video and gave all of she didn't even know who these, she was still listening to Prince trying to figure out, okay, and her name is what? And she was in the kitchen doing what? And he was there and you ate what? And what does that girl look like? And where? And who? And him? What? She really, just like an investigator, grabbed all the information. Now, this is not the first case she's done. She go to the website. Go to Justice for Prince, the number 4.com, and it's all there. The evidence, the toxicology, all the videos, everything. So I went to Joe and I said, I want to follow everything she does, and it was all on the website. It was taken down. The website was taken down. All those, she traveled with a group of people to Minneapolis at least 5 times. Warner Brothers in California 2 times now. Washington today. She's been all over picking up people that and getting Airbnbs and T-shirts and merch and doing everything and teaching beautiful classes online, spiritual classes. The Christ Blueprint, meditations of Saint Teresa of Avila, Course in Miracles. Just looking at so many things, the elements of the earth, the water, the just elemental things. Twin flames, twin hearts, numerology. What does it mean? Angelic messages. How do angels work? Conversations with heaven. And he was really open to it. Joe was really open to it. He said, sure, sure, just put. And so every video that she did, I go share on the website, make an article about Prince, anything in the news. Could be Janis Joplin, could be whatever. And I just really miss him. Really miss him. And so I'm doing this in honor of you, Joe, because I know you can hear me wherever you are. Agita News is here. I'm going to keep repeating the news until we get answers. I'm going to keep asking questions of, because they have to move on. I'm pointing to the TV. Cable news has to move on. The newspaper has to move on. We don't have to move on. You could pick your pet peeve and really just whittle away at it. So if your pet peeve is medicinal health, insurance companies, big pharma, vaccines, health news, environmental, chemtrails, fracking, food, how it's grown, what they're putting in our food, what happened in the Dominican Republic and in India, where that moonshine come from, and why the cheap alcohol, what pesticides are safe to put where, just anything in the news, anything. They have to move on. There's more breaking news. And believe me, a lot of these newscasters look like, wait. We were just talking about how many children got lost in government care? 1,500? And what? Now you're asking me to go talk about Donald Trump's getting alleged he did this. But wait, but wait, now we're over here. This one's going to jail. Don't you want to know what happened? Don't you want to know what happened to Michael Cohen? Don't you want to know what happened to Stormy Daniels? Don't you want to know what happened to Robin Williams? Don't you want to know what happened to really happened to Prince? Don't you want to know? Don't you want to know? Let's stay on it. And instead of it repeating heartburn, just get after those news stories and really keep digging. Okay? So I hope you'll join me here. I do have listed on my channel 3 other channels that I have. One is called Biash and Klutz Knitting and Crochet, and that's where I do hobbies like knitting, crochet, and tatting and embroidery. That's it. Sometimes I do other people's patterns, sometimes I do original patterns, sometimes I just do a stitch. I just show a stitch that I learned, or a project. Sometimes I do knit along and crochet alongs too. Flower Species was the channel I opened up that Joe said, I really need you to build a YouTube community group and start doing hobbies, do whatever you want, start inviting people. And of course he's no longer with us on this plane, so for now, so I'm just gonna save that for hobbies, just like if I feel like cooking something, talk about diet, whatever, it's just gonna be a hobby channel. And then there is the mom series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity, which you'll see under Awesome Astrid Mosaic. That is my channel that has been out there since 2007, and I get raw and real about my pet peeve, mental health labels, and media-made craziness, media-made myths, and media sensationalized everything, and stigma, and the demonization of people that think differently, act differently, look differently, the fear and the stigma of labeling people. And I look specifically at multiple personality, which is now called dissociative identity disorder, all dissociative disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, and how trauma affects the mind. So all of that is on that channel. And if you're here on this channel, you can click on those channels. And if you feel like, treat it like a newsletter or a part. This is where you come for your 30 minutes of what I'm going to talk about, whatever you want. You give me the content you want to talk about. I don't care if it's a news story that was 5 years ago. We'll start looking at it. If it's something came up in the news and I always wonder what happened to, we'll talk about it. We'll ask those questions. If you wonder why Donald Trump wears his hair the way he does, which is what I wonder all the time. I'm like, why don't you just shave your head? It would look so much better. I'm going to ask it here. Okay. So there it is. And in honor to Joseph McEvoy, love to you, kisses to heaven, and thank you for elevating me to another level of looking at things differently, much differently. We're also going to talk about the Illuminati, the Columinati, and the Shadow Gov, and who they are. We're going to look at those 6 corporations that are running the world that have merged together and created subsidies. And now there's like 11 over here, but a couple of them are small. We're going to look at that whole group. We're going to look at all of it, okay? Thank you. And we're going to have fun, all right? And I'm not always going to wear makeup. And I'm not always going to be in my bedroom. I'm going to be all around. I'm going to be walking around sometimes. And I'll try to keep my videos to 30 minutes. Go ahead and post whatever you want. Any news story globally, anything that got your attention and then fell off the radar. That was like, ooh, everyone was talking about it and then trending everywhere and then let's talk about it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.